Hello and welcome to our daily news roundup on Atlantic TV. I am Nkechi Tejere. Here are our top stories. Court approves Yahaya Bello's travel to Mecca for pilgrimage. Senate names Ushemole Tambawal to Electoral Act Review Panel. Standard Chartered UNICEF to create 1,500 jobs for women. Niger junta head hails Russian support after Niamey airport assault. Coach explains Osimhen's side loss to Manchester City. Now to the news in full. The Federal High Court in Abuja has granted former Kogi State Governor Yahaya Bello permission to travel to Saudi Arabia to perform the 2026 Lesser Hajj. Justice Emeka Nwite ordered the temporary release of Bello's passport, currently in the custody of the court, to enable him undertake the pilgrimage. Bello is standing trial over the alleged misappropriation of about 80 billion naira, charges he has denied. The case was filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. His lawyer, Joseph Daudu, senior advocate of Nigeria, told the court the trip was for religious purposes during Ramadan and said the former governor was seeking spiritual support amid the ongoing trial. The EFCC did not oppose the application but stressed that the trial schedule must remain unaffected. In his ruling, Justice Nwite approved the release of Bello's passport for 10 days beginning March 13, 2026, and adjourned the case to January 30th for continuation of trial. Yahaya Bello is facing 19 counts of alleged money laundering, criminal breach of trust, and misappropriation of public funds said to have occurred during his tenure as Kogi State Governor. The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has warned striking FCTA staff that filing an appeal does not automatically halt a court ruling. Workers had briefly returned to duty on Wednesday, but their union issued a notice to continue the strike, citing an appeal filed on its behalf. Justice E.D. Sublim of the National Industrial Court had earlier ordered the suspension of the industrial action following a case instituted by the FCT administration. Speaking on Thursday during the distribution of 12 new ambulances to hospitals across the territory, Wike expressed disappointment over the continued strike, suggesting some workers may be motivated by political interest rather than genuine labor grievances. He emphasized that the administration remains open to dialogue and has already addressed the majority of workers' demands. Wike highlighted his administration's achievements in the civil service, including implementing the FCT Civil Service Commission and creating a dedicated head of service, while stressing that effective health services require supporting infrastructure. He also announced ongoing rehabilitation of 14 health centers and the recruitment of additional health personnel to address staffing gaps. The Secretary for Health and Environmental Services, Dr. Adedolakbo Fasawi, praised the minister for clearing a backlog of allowances dating back to 2021 and highlighted improvements in emergency response, including upgraded roads and the elevation of the School of Nursing to a full College of Nursing, the first in the FCT. Wike reiterated the government's commitment to holistic governance, linking investment in roads, health, and staffing as part of a coordinated approach to improving public services. The Senate has set up a 7-member ad hoc committee to harmonize lawmakers' views on the proposed amendment of the Electoral Act as preparations intensify ahead of the 2027 general elections. The decision followed a 3-hour closed-door executive session held on Thursday to further scrutinize the Electoral Act, Repeal and Enactment Bill, currently before the National Assembly. Announcing the outcome, Senate President Godswill Akpabio said the committee was mandated to distill senators' inputs and address outstanding concerns on the bill. The panel is chaired by Senator Niyi Adegbomire, with members including Adamu Aliero, Aminu Tambawal, Adams Oshemole, Danjuma Goje, Tony Nwoye, and Titus Zam. Akpabio said the committee has 3 days to conclude its work and submit its report by Tuesday. The Senate had earlier stepped down consideration of the bill to allow for deeper examination, despite the House of Representatives already passing it. Akpabio stressed the need for due diligence, describing the bill as critical to Nigeria's electoral process. According to the Senate Committee on Electoral Matters, the proposed amendments would strengthen electoral integrity, enhance transparency, and boost public confidence. Key provisions outlined by Senate leader Okpeyemi Bamidele include stiffer penalties for vote buying and electoral offenses, electronic voter identification, mandatory electronic transmission of results, recognition of prisoners' voting rights, early release of electoral funds, and tougher sanctions for result falsification. Lawmakers say the reforms are aimed at delivering credible, transparent, and secure elections starting from the 2027 polls, subject to constitutional approval by state assemblies. Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji has called for politics without bitterness, saying it is essential to building a stronger and more enduring democracy in Nigeria. The governor urged political actors not to turn elections into warfare and warned against a winner-takes-all mentality, describing exclusion and intolerance as threats to stability and good governance. Oyebanji spoke on Thursday at the Faculty of Arts Distinguished Alumni Lecture of Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, as Ekiti prepares for its governorship election and the country moves closer to the 2027 general polls. He said his inclusive approach to governance since assuming office has helped transform Ekiti from a state once plagued by political crisis into one of the most stable and cohesive in the country. The governor also stressed the need to build a political culture rooted in the Omoluabi ethos, warning against extreme political views that could hinder development. At the event, the guest lecturer and chairman of the Nation newspaper's editorial board, Sam Omasheye, delivered a lecture titled How to Make a Democrat, where he argued that many countries claim to practice democracy without upholding its core principles. The lecture, held at Oduduwa Hall, was attended by top government officials, academics, and political leaders from Ekiti and Osun states. The Standard Chartered Foundation and UNICEF's Generation Unlimited have announced a 3-year partnership aimed at creating 1,500 decent jobs for young women in Nigeria. The initiative, which will also be implemented in Kenya, targets women aged 18 to 24 from underserved communities and is designed to help them transition from skills training into sustainable employment. Participants will be drawn from young women who have already completed UNICEF Generation Unlimited training programs with support focused on job placement in the private sector. UNICEF will work with local employment partners to connect beneficiaries to available opportunities. Speaking at the launch in Lagos, Acting Chief Executive Officer of Standard Chartered Nigeria, Ayodeji Adelagun, says the partnership reflects the bank's commitment to youth empowerment through employment-driven initiatives. UNICEF Nigeria Representative Wafa Said said the program would unlock opportunities for young women who already have the skills and motivation to succeed. The partners say the initiative will strengthen inclusive economic growth while expanding job opportunities for young women in Nigeria and Kenya. A policy think tank, the Independent Media and Policy Initiative, RMPI, has projected that Nigeria's gross domestic product could grow to 5.5% in 2026. In a policy statement signed by its chairman, Dr. Omoniyi Akinsiju, the group attributed the projection to what it's described as a new economic model under President Bola Tinubu, driven by policy reforms aimed at boosting productivity, trade, and investment. IMPI said its forecast is higher than projections by global institutions, noting that the International Monetary Fund currently estimates Nigeria's growth at 4.4% in 2026, following an upward revision. The think tank said recent projections by the World Bank, the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, the Nigeria Economic Summit Group, and other analysts reflect growing confidence in Nigeria's economic outlook. According to RMPI, the positive forecast points to an emerging economic shift focused on increased production, foreign exchange stability, reduced inflation, stronger investment inflows, and a more business-friendly regulatory environment. You're watching Nigeria News Roundup on Atlantic TV. We'll go on a short break. More news stories on the foreign scene and on sports when we return.
Don't miss out on exciting news, events, and more. Stay connected by following us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Atlantic Media and TV.
Welcome back. On to the foreign scene. The head of Niger's military junta, General Tiani, has praised Russia for its role in repelling an overnight attack in Niamey's airport. Suspected jihadists launched the assault from Wednesday night into Thursday, but airport operations returned to normal later in the day. Niger's defense ministry reported that 4 soldiers were injured, 20 attackers were killed, and 11 were arrested, with state television confirming that a French national was among the attackers. Speaking on state radio, General Tiani commended Nigerian forces and Russian partners for their professionalism and accused the leaders of France, Benin, and Ivory Coast of supporting the attackers. Defense Minister Salifu Modi said the assault lasted about 30 minutes before being repelled by coordinated air and ground operations. Footage broadcast on state TV showed the military base, the bodies of the attackers, and Tiani inspecting the site. Relations between Niger's junta, which seized power in July 2023, and France and Benin remain tense, with the junta frequently accusing the countries of attempting to destabilize Niger, a claim both countries deny. President Donald Trump has announced that the United States will reopen commercial airspace over Venezuela, allowing American citizens to travel to the South American nation once conditions are secured. Speaking at a cabinet meeting, Trump said he has directed U.S. officials, including the Transportation Secretary, to take steps to restore access to Venezuelan airspace, a move set to reverse long-standing restrictions that were in place since 2019. The announcement follows years of strained relations between the U.S. and Venezuela and comes after American Airlines suspended flights to the country amid safety concerns. American Airlines has already signaled plans to resume service in the coming months, pending regulatory approval and security evaluations. Trump said Americans will soon be able to visit Venezuela safely, a significant shift in U.S. policy towards the country and its aviation links. This development could mark a step towards re-establishing travel and commercial ties between the two countries after years of disputes. Away from foreign scene now to some sports stories. Former world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua has spoken publicly for the first time following a tragic car accident that claimed the lives of 2 of his closest friends, Sina Gami and Latif Ayodele. The crash occurred on December 29th near Lagos when the Lexus SUV carrying Joshua collided with a parked truck. Joshua survived with minor injuries, but Gami and Ayodele, both members of his professional team and close companions, were killed. In a heartfelt video shared on social media on Thursday night, Joshua described the loss as tough and reflected on the deep bond he shared with the late friends, calling them brothers, partners, and mentors in his life. He also pledged support to their families as they navigate life without their loved ones. Joshua expressed gratitude to fans and supporters, as well as several notable figures who assisted after the accident, including President Bola Tinubu, Femi Otedola, Aliko Dangote, Lagos and Ogun State governors, and security agencies.
Major players in all of our lives, major players in all of our lives. It's tough, it's really tough. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and show all of my emotions. I know in today's day and age, it's easy to microanalyze people and, you know, pass judgment, but, you know, I know what I feel, and that's all that matters to me. I know what my duty is. You know, they're my brothers, they're my friends, first and foremost. Then we became business partners, we became hustlers, we became lieutenants, we became generals, we became everything. We became housemates, we were living together. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, but so there's that side of things, and then what can I say?
The remains of Gami and Ayodele were flown to the United Kingdom, where a joint funeral prayer was held at a London mosque on the 4th of January. Galatasaray's hopes of a historic Champions League upset at Manchester City's Etihad Stadium ended on Wednesday night with a 2-0 defeat. Despite the presence of star striker Victor Osimhen, the Turkish side struggled against City's clinical first-half display and tight defense. Osimhen was limited to just a few goal-scoring opportunities, with goalkeeper Gianluigi making key saves to keep him at bay. Speaking after the match, Galatasaray head coach Okan Buruk admitted the damage was done in the first half, praising his team's improved spirit after the interval, but acknowledging the gap in quality. Buruk remains optimistic about the team's European campaign by finishing in the top 24 of the league phase. Galatasaray has secured the spot in the knockout playoffs. We have a good team and strong players, and I hope we will be even better in the next round, he said. The Turkish league leaders will now await the playoff draw in February, aiming to bounce back and make a strong push towards the round of 16. With our sports news, we come to the end of our daily news roundup for today here on Atlantic TV. Do also follow us on all our social media platforms for more news stories and headline updates. Thank you so much for watching. Have a blessed day.